This is Rick Rozz from Massacre, and you're listening to Misery Point Radio.
Welcome back to Misery Point Radio. Thank you for joining me again today. And thanks for hanging in there while I had to take my excessively long break. I know it's been a while. For that, I do apologize. However, life kind of got out of control for a little bit. I had so many things in the works that scheduling just became just crazy. Well, I got that all worked out. Now we're going to be back on track. So hopefully, in my absence, maybe y'all got a chance to go back and listen to some of the older episodes that you hadn't had a chance to listen to yet. So hopefully by now, you're all caught up on the awesomeness. And I will be back on a regular schedule. So we will have some really awesome conversations coming your way here over the next few weeks. And I am booking some really, really, really awesome guests for this show. So I think you're going to be more than excited, because I'm more than excited. This is really freaking cool. And so I just got back from Orlando, Florida, as an opportunity presented itself to me, and it was one that I could not pass up. And I don't normally just pack up and say, hey, I'm going to go to random this place or that place. There usually has to be a pretty good reason. So I live in Seattle, so going to Florida, that ain't a small trip. But this one was more than worth it, because it allowed me to combine a little bit of time off for my wife and I, kind of get out of town for a while. But it also provided an opportunity to take part in a really historic event, at least historic in the world of metal. Because what happened in Florida was 30 years in the making. And I got a chance to sit down with one of the godfathers of old school death metal, Mr. Rick Rozz, to talk about the reformation of legendary death metal band Massacre, with original bassist Michael Borders, original vocalist Kam Lee, and of course Rick's longtime partner in crime, Mr. Mike Mazzonetto. And this show at Will's Pub in Orlando, Florida, represented the first time ever that Massacre played their debut album, From Beyond, in its entirety, from start to finish, and also represented the first time in over 30 years that Rick Rozz, Kam Lee, and Michael Borders have shared the stage together. So, there is no other word that I can use to describe this experience but epic. Because it was epic. Everything about this was epic. The Massacre show was epic, and my conversation with Mr. Rick Rozz was absolutely epic. And if you're the kind of person that likes to get the true, behind-the-scenes stories straight from the source, then you need to hang out for the next half hour and listen to Rick talk about all of the different variations of Massacre, how this entire new project came into existence, as well as a really cool history lesson on some of those early days of Death and Mantis and Massacre and his other projects that were in the works when this all kind of fell into place. So, get ready, grab a drink, kick back, and check this out. Cool. Well, hey, this is Mike here from Misery Point Radio, and I'm sitting down in amazing Orlando, Florida, with the man, the myth, the legend, Rick Rozz. Awesome, Rick. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule.
Not very busy, but no, thank you for coming all the way from Seattle.
Yeah.
Check out this show at Will's Pub.
Absolutely.
In hot, humid Orlando, Florida.
It is a little on the warm side compared to where I'm from, but yeah.
It's a little breeze.
It's nice. It's a nice change of pace. So, well, hey, you know, from my perspective, today is a pretty historic day. It's been a long time, I think, in the making. There's been, you know, you've obviously stayed busy kind of all these years, but I think in the terms of the lineup that we're about to see tonight, probably means a lot to people who are familiar with kind of the old school And so I'm definitely looking forward to checking out this show. So I think there's probably a lot of people who never thought that they'd see you and Michael Borders and Kam Lee in the same room again, let alone playing a show again together. So I'm just kind of curious if you don't mind me getting a little bit of history on a few things. You seem pretty open to talking about kind of some stuff. So when I took a hiatus from music myself, and then I kind of got back into it and I started following people a little bit online, your name was the first person that actually came up. Hey, what's Rick Rozz up to? And at that point you were playing in The End. And The End, it seems like, was really on a pretty awesome trajectory. You guys had a deal with the FDA, and things seem to be going really pretty well. And you were jamming with Maz at that point still, and Mr. Grimm. And you've been with Maz for quite some time at this point. So, and then Kam Lee kind of resurfaces. So if you don't mind me asking, how did we go from kind of where things were with The End into Kam getting kind of introduced back into the picture?
Well, he had reached out to me years ago when MySpace was up, and I didn't reach back. So I decided to reach out to him, and a friend of a friend got the information across, and he came out and we started jamming, and it was really, really good. And then a lot of stuff happened with the name, because we were trying to go with the Massacre name and even add an X to it. And then, then the name was changed, and the name was changed again, and the name was changed again, and it kind of got a little monotonous, and it kind of just fell apart.
Sure.
So, but me and Maz had just got out of 4 years with the other Massacre lineup and had done a record, and other stuff had happened, and that kind of left a sour taste.
With Back from Beyond.
Yeah, no, doing the record was great, and everybody that was on that record did their job and everything. It could have been a little shorter. That was my fault, and I went against that. But other than that, we just got really burnt on that. And then when we started The End, it was the end from the beginning.
Okay.
No, I mean, I'm not going to say anything about any. It wasn't meant to be.
Sure.
Period. So what we have now just is a real coincidence. I mean, because I had no idea.
Stars aligning, kind of crazy stuff.
I wouldn't go that far, but it's a coincidence, because there's a lot of pride and because I've known Borders for a long time. We haven't played in 30 years.
Right.
So, and me and Maz took a 16-month hiatus, didn't touch our gear, just stayed at the studio, was just there, and we didn't do anything. We just took a long break.
I saw that. In fact, a friend of mine, and you're really good about, I think, responding to people, which is one of the cool things I like about what you do.
I try to.
Yeah, a friend of mine had mentioned that he kind of made a joke, and hey, what's going on with you? And you had said something like, I haven't touched my guitar in over a year. And he thought it was a joke. And you're like, no, dude, I literally haven't touched my guitar in over a year. So what was going on in your head at that point? Were you just kind of burned out? Were you frustrated with the legalities of things? Or
it was just a burnout factor. And really, there was no reason. There has to be a reason. I mean, you can pick up your guitar and just play your guitar. But if you've been doing it for years and years and years, and just those 4 or 5 years, 6 years, and then it just doesn't really... You have to take a break. I'm assuming that's the way it was, because I really don't know. It was really odd, because I really wasn't like that. I'm not a guy that practices every day. I am kind of a lazy guitar player. I'm more of a rhythm guitar player than practicing my solos and trying to I'm more of just writing a cool riff, and I'll record it, put it down, something else, and then the song comes together. When me and Maz get together, it happens. Yeah, you know what I mean. But when there was no reason, and the burnoutness of all that other baloney, it just
And that was...
That really, I thought we were done.
That was at the transition of The End going into the new projects, or what time frame was that at?
Massacre, Back from Beyond, into The End, and then the end of that, The End.
Okay.
And then it was just, there was nowhere else to go. Me and Matt were just like, hey, dude, let's just walk away. But me and Kam were still friends, you know what I mean? So we had rekindled our friendship in a perspective, and now he's working at the same place. Me and Maz and Kam work at the same place. And I just had a wild hair one day, and I'm like, you know what? Me and Borders are friends on Facebook. Let me shoot him a message and send him my number. Hey, give me a call. He had no clue.
Yeah. That was a very interesting. I think I'd remembered seeing a post.
He was getting ready to move. Move out of state.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you talk to him, he can fill you in on that if you do anything with him. But he was literally telling me he was getting ready to move out of state, and it was really weird.
So you reached out to him after...
Just said, hey, what do you think about getting in the room and jamming?
Yeah.
After 30, he goes, if it's fun, I'm in.
If it's fun, I'm in. So no expectations, no nothing.
He doesn't need to do it.
Yeah, let's just kind of see how it goes.
That's it.
And how was that first meeting for you guys?
It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. He was rehearsing this stuff at home, so he learned the stuff, and we just started going song by song, and now we've done the full set. We've had 6 rehearsals.
6 rehearsals, yeah.
You know, so we're doing the From Beyond record from start to finish. He did play on the, I think it was Chamber of Ages demo, which had From Beyond, Chamber of Ages, and 2 other songs from the From Beyond record, Symbolic Immortality. And so half that record was already written with him in the band. So then he was let go, and we showed up, and, you know, the other bass player was there, and then we continued, and we finished writing the songs and then did From Beyond. That was
From Beyond came out in like 91, which
songs were written in 85.
Yeah,
and 86.
5 or 6 years later after the fact. So
correct.
So Michael Borders still had that element of contribution to that.
Yes.
That you had talked to me on the phone, and you'd said, hey, he doesn't get enough credit.
He's never been given credit. Nobody's ever mentioned his name ever.
Yeah. And
so for what everybody thinks, that the other bass player was the only bass player in Massacre.
Sure. But that's clearly not the case.
No.
And anybody, I think,
we've done live shows,
followed you guys for years, knows for a fact kind of the history.
And there was another guitar player in the band. Alan West was in the band before I was in the band.
Sure.
But even after that, a guy named Robbie Goodwin was in the band. And he has a couple of riffs on that record that he wasn't given credit for. It wasn't my fault. You know what I mean? The information was given and it wasn't printed. Maybe they wanted to keep it Kam and Rick for whatever. I don't know.
In the sense of like publishers and record labels and of that
business
PR kind of stuff like that.
So, but yeah, he and we played live with him. We were a 5-piece with Robbie.
Right.
We did shows with Borders on stage, and Andrew's playing drums, and myself and Kam. So that didn't, obviously it's faded from there. And then other things changed. It was Bill's band, not my band. He was getting rid of people. Who am I?
Yeah.
Kam called me and said, hey, you want to join Massacre? Alan West was still in the band. Showed up. Alan was gone.
Yeah.
Did the first show with Massacre on stage, and no disrespect, I got spit on by Alan West 3 times.
Yeah, I heard that story.
And I just did my thing. I was like, hey, dude, you're angry. I didn't do anything. But it's cool. You know what I mean? There was no hard feelings.
Band politics sometimes get a little hairy.
Envy and jealousy is a bitch, and you know what I mean? And if you have that in you, then I think it's kind of a waste of time to be envy and jealous, But, what can you do? But no, anyway, so that transition was, back to that point, we were just really burnt.
Sure.
But when I called Borders, he seemed interested, and like he said, if it's fun, and he got together, and for a first jam, Maz hadn't touched a kit in 16 months, and it's not like he's running a marathon and working the speed bag, you know what I mean? So, and he's not a young dude, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, it's kicking ass, man. It's good. We got a little fire going. It's cool, and it's a lot of fun.
It's kind of crazy. And so, and when you'd first gotten back with Kam, was that the same thing? It had been a long time since you guys had played together?
Oh, totally. We hadn't done anything since we did a tour in 92, and then the last record we did was the Promise record, so that was 96. So there was no recordings or any, because we didn't tour that record. So 96 from till now, we hadn't done anything. So we started rekindling our friendship and musical thing together a couple of years ago, 3-4 years.
Yeah.
A lot of years have gone by already, and nothing's happened, because 16 months is almost a year and a half or whatever.
Right. So is this just a matter of, people just, you get older and bygones be bygones, and, everybody evolves as a person?
Yeah, there was really no bygone thing with Kam. I owe Kam an apology, which I've told him many times. When I left Massacre, when Massacre showed up to play with open for Megadeth and Overkill, we were denied the gig when we got there. Even though we were told we were going to play, we got there with all our gear and said, oh, no, you guys aren't playing tonight. So that coincidentally that night, some guy came up to me. That's how I got back with Chuck. Not to go on to the death subject.
Sure,
but
absolutely.
The guy was like, hey, I heard Chuck's back in town. This is right around Christmas 86-ish.
Okay.
No, 87. So Scream Bloody Gore was already recorded.
Okay.
And I went to his house the next day. Chuck's house. Chuck was a little odd that I was at his front door.
Right.
So I was like, hey, dude, I got something to talk about. If you're cool with it, give me a call.
You just showed up unannounced?
Unannounced.
Yeah.
Just to his door, and he opened the door, and he was like, and I was like, hey, man, I don't mean to just show up at your door, but I have something to talk to you about. If you're interested, give me a buzz tomorrow. And he did. So we got together. I called Bill and Terry. We formed Death.
Yeah.
I left Kam without even telling him I was leaving the band. And I've told him this. I'm like, dude, I owe you a huge apology. I said, literally, I just was like, I didn't say anything. No, I didn't even tell him that. Just left, put that together with Bill and Terry, and didn't even say, tell Kam I was leaving the band. When we didn't play that show, I knew I was done that night.
Okay.
I was like, we're not going anywhere. We're done. I wasn't trying to be a rock star.
Was it the perception that just because of that incident that maybe it was time to try something else, or?
It's a coincidence. Some dude just told me Chuck was back in town.
Yeah.
That's kind of like an opportunist, but I'm not an opportunist.
Sure.
But I took that opportunity, but I regret not telling Kam, hey, dude, this isn't going to work. I think I'm going to go back and jam with Chuck.
Crazy.
I didn't say that. So, and I brought Bill and Terry into the band, and
Right.
Chuck had a band.
Yeah, I mean the lineage, trying to track down the Massacre Death Mantis lineage. There's a lot of crossover. You know, people join in and then being unjoined and then joining
Right.
back in and another formation, then coming back in, and
Correct.
now we're Massacre, and then now we're Death, and then
Right,
Massacre's had several different iterations, and at
Sure.
one point Kam had started a different version of Massacre, if
Sure.
I remember right, and
Right.
played a couple of shows with that.
Well, him
so-
and the old bass player got to do it. Me and the old bass player got to do it. Then when me and Kam wanted to do it, there was a problem.
Yeah, and that's crazy. Not that I want to dig up legalities, but
No.
I was curious about, with all of the different iterations that have gone through, why was there a problem with the latest?
I couldn't answer that question other than a little spite.
Yeah, just at that point, we just don't want the name to be out there.
We're
and-
just going to shut it down. and
Yeah,
That's fine.
it's crazy.
Didn't work.
And then for whatever powers that be reason, you guys all get back together, and then now there's no more Gods of Death, no more Massacre X. You're full on
Massacre.
Massacre is back.
Yeah.
So
Mike Mazzonetto has been in the band as long as Bill Andrews has been in the band, in his own band. So it's, you know
yeah,
what I mean? So it's true.
That's
He's
crazy.
been in the band since we reformed with the other two guys for the Back from Beyond thing.
you guys all kind of being back in now. It's been you and Kam and Michael Borders have not been on the same stage together for 30,
80s.
since the 80s. And how are those rehearsals going? Is it, you guys feel tight? Is the chemistry good? Is
Yeah,
it,
I think it's really good.
Yeah?
I think it's good. Yeah, for just 6 rehearsals, I think it's going to be fine. It's powerful, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
a lot of fun is something you don't hear about bands anymore talk about playing just for playing.
Well, that's where the fun is.
Yeah.
When you're playing, the rest of it's the work.
A lot of it seems
work
to
is
be,
the travel,
yeah,
right?
People, travel is fantastic. It's awesome. You know, when there's an end that you can look forward to, I guess. But
Right.
It seems like a lot of bands these days, they play, but they have an ulterior motive. It's not to play. It's not to play to a show. It's I want to play for a money thing, or I want to play for a contract thing, or I want to play because there's some kind of an obligation. You had told me, hell, I just want to play a show. I just want to play a show with these guys.
That's it.
That's the truth, right? Yeah,
Sure.
That's just the whole point. So,
It is. I'm 22 getting on stage with a chip on my shoulder.
what is that chip on your shoulder, by the way?
Pride in what we have created, what the music is, and how good it sounds now. It's powerful.
Yeah.
It's as powerful as it has been. It's really good. Cam's totally up to par. He sounds great. You know what I mean? He's in his 50s. You know what I mean? I'm not screaming on the mic. You know, Mike's in his mid 40s, so
Yeah.
I don't want to say late 40s, but and he's kicking ass. And Borders is in the 50s, and still, it's great, man. It really is.
Yeah.
The chip is just that little thing on your. You have something to prove to yourself and to just people. Hey, this is real.
Right.
What we're doing is real. And that's it. So we might get paid a couple of bucks to play, but it's definitely, we're not doing it for money, because
Right.
there's people that don't have to leave to go do this to make the money, because they make plenty of money.
Sure.
I'm not one of them, but I have a day job and I make decent enough money to get by. But why not freaking have a little part-time music gig that you
Sure.
can go out and have some fun with some
Yeah.
friends and jam around.
So the chip is not necessarily a, hey, I've got something to prove to
Nope.
you guys. The chip is like,
Prove something to myself.
Yeah, prove something to yourself that you can get out there and you're still, you know.
That it sounds good and you're proud of what you're doing.
Right.
Nothing against anybody else, or no F off to anybody. It's just pretty much, hey, dude, if you're going to do it and
Right.
do the best you can.
Yeah. And, when you're talking about, 30 plus years gone by, or whatever, From Beyond came out in 1991.
Right.
So,
And the songs were written in 85 and 86.
yeah, which is
That
crazy.
that was just a coincidental bonus, because Digby Pearson, the owner of Earache Records, was a fan of the band.
Right.
David Vincent called me and said, hey, Digby Pearson wants to put out a Massacre record. What do you think?
Yeah. Well,
Why
why
not?
the hell not? Yeah, right.
Sure.
Absolutely. So after all this time, do you still have the same feeling about that record? I mean, do you listen to that record now and be like, do you have a different
we play
perception
it,
of it?
it's better.
Yeah.
What we're doing is
How
better.
is it better?
It's more powerful. It's tighter. It was more powerful and tighter with the other lineup too.
Right. I think part of what the draw.
It's just more real now with Kam
Yeah.
on the mic. No disrespect to the other gentleman that was on the mic, because he did his job well.
Right.
He really did. He does his job well. Everybody did the job well. So I'm saying nothing against those other two that jammed in the band. But
Sure.
now it's the same as it was then. it's as powerful and as tight because, me and Maz are pretty tight, not to friggin' pat myself on the back, but and even though we took 16 months off, it's pretty kick-ass.
Yeah.
And Mike's a great bass player. He plays with his fingers, so it's a little different. The attack is different.
Right.
He's a more traditional finger bass player.
Kind of more percussive.
Right. So him and Maz are still working out that stuff. But, 6 rehearsals, we were able to play the album from start to finish. So I'm not saying there's not going to be any boo-boos, but it should be cool. You know what I mean? It's going to be fun. It's going to be real. It's going to be nothing else but 6 rehearsals of realness. You know what I mean? And Kam sounds great, like I said.
I think part of what makes From Beyond still to this day held so dearly by a lot of people is that is a raw fucking album. I mean, it's really it's not about production quality. It was about the energy. It was about the songs. And so when you revisit those, I mean, you got, it's modern equipment now, and you mentioned that you're going to be doing possibly some recording tonight with all the stuff.
Sure.
And, so are you approaching it any differently? You'd mentioned that you're playing it a little differently. Is it just the energy that's different, or, what is different about playing it now versus 30 years ago?
Well, we tuned down a little bit, so it's a little lower tune, so it sounds a little heavier. And so there's people that really would rather hear it tuned to the record. Yeah. But, there's no reason behind that. I just think it sounds heavier.
Yeah, what are you guys tuning to?
Straight B.
Straight B.
Yeah.
Carcass style. Man, that's hard.
But we were tuning the C back in the Mantis days, so it's only like a full step lower than that.
Full step below that.
We had no bass player then. So.
Yeah. I played in a death metal band for several years without a bass player. We just said turn up the distortion and EQ that mid out of there a little bit.
That's it.
They thumped out those speakers pretty hardcore, so that's funny to hear you say that.
No, it's true. There's no mid in my rig. There's no mid coming out of them. We don't use mid-range at all.
Not at all, huh?
No.
Fully scooped.
Just all bass is full, treble's probably at about 3 o'clock. Presence is all the way up, gains all the way up, and that's just a standard thing. Same
you
thing.
Still rocking the rectifiers?
Yeah.
Awesome. That's killer. So you guys, after this, you got a little bit of a break, but then you're getting ready to head out of the country for a while.
We got
do some shows.
So today's Saturday, so we have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we fly to Germany this Thursday.
Okay.
And then we play the 1st of June at the Fuck the Commerce Fest. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the F word.
You can say whatever you want.
But no, I'm not a cursor, so.
Yeah.
But so that's that should be cool. And then we have a couple other things coming up. In like every month this year, we actually have a one-off.
Yeah.
So I kind of filled the year up as best we can before we sign on with. But I'm not going to mention any names now. But we're going to be signing on with an agent out of the UK in 2020, and so we have. Not in order, but we have tonight. Then we have Germany on the 1st of June. Then into July, I think we're doing, don't quote me on this. It's I know we're doing a Dallas Death Fest. We're playing a show in Chicago, Death Fest in Chicago. We're playing California Death Fest. We're doing a fest in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I saw that you guys were doing some South America stuff.
Yeah, that's in November. Then we go back to Texas for 3 shows, which just came through the other day, which is like the 27th, 28th, 29th, at the end of 1 month, June or July.
Right.
And then August we have something. We have I'm lost right now, but we have like 12 shows.
You got a lot of stuff kind of going on. So how do you go from I'm just going to play this show for shits and giggles to all of a sudden you guys are hitting different parts of the globe?
Oh, I personally set this show up for a rehearsal because we had the German show, and then just promoters started asking questions, and
so the German show was booked first.
Yeah, because I wouldn't have a problem just going out of the studio, jamming right to the stage,
right?
Which we're doing tonight. So what's the difference of going from there to Germany?
Sure.
So, but I'm cool with going along with the team and throwing a local show together and having some fun.
I think a lot of people are curious why you guys are playing out there rather than playing more shows in the U.S. to get things going. Well, I don't know if there's a reason why.
We're playing quite a few shows in the U.S. We have the one in Chicago, the one in Texas, the one in California, and then we have 3 more in Texas. And we're not a touring band,
right?
So we're a weekend band. Okay. If we can get, a Thursday and a Friday off, or a Thursday off to fly out to go do something to play a Friday and a Saturday and come home on Sunday, is what we're doing.
Right.
So maybe next year we'll be able to go into the realms of 10 shows in 2 weeks, go out and do 10 shows. But I don't know where.
You guys are still getting reacquainted with each other too.
Yeah. No disrespect to the U.S., it's a lot harder to do one-offs like that. You know what I mean? Because we could have went out and did a tour in November.
Sure.
A full tour, but we can't. We have day jobs. We want to keep the day job. So it's just really a part-time fun thing for the weekend. right now. You know what I mean? So if something else escalates, but it won't ever go beyond 2 weeks. I really don't see that happening. So it's not like we're going to be a touring band. It's just going to be, it's going to be cool though. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. So you'd put out kind of a, I don't know, semi-cryptic message on Facebook at one point. Hey, who wants to hear some new Massacre stuff? Do you recall that at all?
Sure.
Yeah. So I would assume the response to that was fairly positive. Are you thinking down the road is there going to be new Massacre material in the works, or is
I mean, we're not going to do the from beyond thing forever. This is pretty much just to relive that with Borders involved.
Right.
So, and it's that the whole record's never been played live. I think Symbolic Immortality might have been played once live.
As far as the entire album, you
correct?
Mean,
yeah, that's never been done. So yeah, I'm not going to say that. No, me and Borders are right. There's no doubt that there's plenty of music that me and Maz have. Kam has music. Borders has music. We've already, if stuff like that comes out. But the whole thing is, if we came out right now as Massacre with 10 brand new songs and didn't play anything off that From Beyond record,
you just don't think it'd go anywhere? Wouldn't be recognized, or
no? It's retro. We're going with what people want to hear.
Right. Yeah, it's really weird. There's definitely that whole movement that now is called, the whole OST stuff.
Plus, we really only have Massacre only has 2 records out other than an EP.
Right.
So,
yeah. And From Beyond seems to hold a very personal place in your heart. Back From Beyond doesn't seem to have that same attachment for you.
No, it doesn't. Other than I did it with my best friend, Mike Mazzonetto.
Yeah. And you guys, history-wise, I mean, before the Massacre thing, you guys were in a band, what, M+? M-Inc. That's what it was, yeah. And the M is rumored to have been...
it's kind of Massacre Incorporated.
Kind of Massacre, without saying
sure.
Massacre.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie about that. Why not?
And is that Tim Vasquez?
Correct.
Was involved in that as well.
He's the studio owner.
And so
CGM
now,
Studios, who recorded all the M-Inc. stuff and recorded the Back From Beyond record and all the End stuff, and we'll be recording whatever this project does.
Yeah. So is he the one that's going to be here recording tonight?
No. A good friend of mine, Greg Mandigo. Yeah. If I'm pronouncing your name wrong, Greg, I'm sorry. No, I've known him forever. He worked with Deicide back in the day, and he knows his stuff. So he's front of house guy. He's gonna be recording False Prophet, Drew Lord, and us tonight.
Oh man!
And there's if the recordings, everything's cool. Where there's talks of putting a 4-song 12-inch EP out, 4 songs from this show. So.
Man, vinyl is back in such a way, and I don't like to use the word back because it's kind of always been there. But when you talk to people who are
vinyl lovers,
from back in the day, I mean, you're getting vinyls again released in modern times. Not even on CD, not even digital. And the vinyl's, the first pressing is coming out first, which I think is super badass. And I think it's making a bunch of kids scramble to go buy some fucking record players.
I think it's cool. Hell yeah.
Super awesome. So the CGM, you guys use that as your rehearsal space as well as your recording space. So are you recording rehearsals? Are you
always.
So do you go back and kind of like an NFL playbook? Are you kind of listening to how his rehearsal sound and helping decide the direction?
Yeah, it's like a modern day jam box. What I have one of those little Zoom recorders, so we get video and audio at the same time.
Love me some Zoom.
And not as cool as that Zoom, but yeah, it's and it works. It works really good. It's basically just a cassette player, modernized cassette player, so we can go back over it and listen to it. Is that cool? I don't know. Get rid of it, and then we have video. We can post it up on. Hey, we're jamming.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's fun. That's cool. It's getting back to basics, I think, is kind of the key message I've heard from everybody I've talked to currently who's been around for a while. They say, I want to get rid of all the fluff, get rid of all the stuff that, I think the general public wants, like Back From Beyond, for instance. That's a very polished record. It was really, I don't know, production-y.
It wasn't raw.
Yeah, it wasn't raw. It sounds great. I mean, from a technical standpoint, it's an enjoyable record.
Sure.
But it definitely, I think yourself probably your guys all think, it doesn't have the same.
No, it's different
feel that, From Beyond has. So I'm curious to see what you guys end up doing after these rehearsals and these shows. How going back and revisiting From Beyond affects what you write for maybe any future Massacre material. Is that the direction you think you want to take
I
it?
have no idea what's going to happen.
Whatever happens, happens kind of a
Whatever
vibe?
comes out, as long as we're recording so you don't miss a good song or a good riff or something. Because I've learned that recording when you're over, you're jamming. Because even if you're jamming like a record from start to finish, something there in the middle, you might throw something in there. You might take a break and go, hey, check this out.
Right.
And if you're not recording it, you might forget it. So
yeah,
it's cool to get everything down. That way you have whatever happens, happens. I really don't. I'm just going with it. We have a cool thing. Everybody's cool. Everybody's getting along. There's no hidden agendas. There's no nothing. It's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
It's cooler than it's ever been. Not saying that the other time wasn't cool either.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Or else I wouldn't have done it.
Right.
It was cool and it sounded good. It didn't suck. And I have nothing bad to say about anybody. It just didn't work.
Yeah.
You know, we decided to pull out. We're done. That's that. You know, you have that choice. When you're done, you're done.
Yeah.
It's just not fun. I'm done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you've stayed busy. I mean, you've done other bands and things like that. But
Not really.
It seems, well, you got the End and Gods and things
That
like
was
that.
just
a time filler?
It just happened to come into play, and it was cool.
Yeah.
You know, it was fun. Yeah. And then once again, it just didn't work out for whatever reason.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, things get crazy. So, well, I am a huge fan of also our mutual friend, Mr. Scott Pivarnik.
Yes.
And if you don't mind me asking about those Threshers, first Thresher, how did you go about getting that one built for you?
He offered to build me a guitar.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to purchase an acoustic off him.
Right.
I wasn't trying to get free guitar off of Scott. I already had an endorsement with Grossman Guitars.
Sure.
Not to drop a name. Sorry, Scott. But I did. I already had a handful of guitars from them, and I just was looking for an acoustic. And then the one guy from the other company saw I was posting stuff as Scott started building this acoustic for me and got a little butthurt and said, and I was like, dude, you told me you didn't build acoustics. So I'm just getting an acoustic built for myself to jam around. You know, that's how I work on stuff. So you don't have to plug in an amp and then get ideas. And then when you plug in your rig, you're like, yeah, you know, you're playing.
Right.
Anyways, that's the way I look at it. So long story short, the other deal, I just pulled out of the other deal. And yeah, then Scott we started talking, and he happened to have a template for the Gibson Explorer.
Right.
And
you were known more previously as kind of a BC Rich guy.
yeah, but I did have a Gibson Explorer in '84. So
right.
Then I went to the BC stuff with Floyd and all that. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I was more of a BC Rich guy. But we made it pointy, and it's basically a pointy Explorer. And I came out with the name. I like sharks, so I was like, hey, we'll call it the Thresher. Looks like it's got a big tail and da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah. Well, hey, from Florida, Threshers and sharks and all that kind of stuff.
He was really cool about it. And yeah, I was kind of blown away because it was unexpected. It's not like I freaking asked him for a guitar.
Right.
He wanted an acoustic. I had plenty of electric guitars.
Sure. Yeah.
I wasn't, I don't need somebody to build me a wood. It's just to have another guitar laying. I've had 15, 16 guitars, and you can't play 15 or 16 guitars. All I do is take up a bunch of freaking room.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I have 2 guitars. That's it. I have Thresher 1 and Thresher 2.
Yeah. And are you going to play them both tonight?
I'll be probably playing Thresher 2 all night tonight unless I break a string. So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing those. So, lastly, I guess,
love you, Scott.
Everybody loves Scott Pivarnik. Come on,
You're welcome.
Oh, you see, you made me lose track of my train of thought there. So, there's been a lot of, I think, misconceptions over the years about what's going on with Death, with Massacre, with Mantis, and all this kind of stuff. So, you seem like a very honest person who just is very straight shooting. Is there anything else you want to kind of clear up? You've been given a lot of credit recently to Mike Borders and Kam Lee for doing like the logos and stuff that hasn't been credited in the past. Anything else that we need to be aware of that you think has been misconstrued over the years without getting into legalities?
Not really, man. It's just the wrong people got involved.
Yeah.
And you just can't stop that. You know what I mean? And people get manipulated.
Sure.
Chuck Schuldiner's not here.
Yeah. Yeah. He can't answer for himself, right?
No.
Yeah.
He's never toured on a fancy tour bus.
Yeah. Hey, where's the Massacre bus?
He wasn't making 60 grand. I'm saying, I mean, yeah. So all I have to say is there was no Scream Bloody Gore and no Leprosy DTA tour.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not going to take money from a dead man.
Yeah. So it just kind of...
Sorry, but this is fact.
That's awesome. I mean, that's how it is.
It was a good payday, too.
Yeah, yeah. And I think a lot of people probably think, oh, you know, you
So
played
it's
on
not for the money.
Yeah, played on Leprosy, you're probably a millionaire, right? So
I got a couple of Lamborghini Hot Wheels at home.
there you go. Awesome. Well, hey, man, I definitely appreciate your time. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys tonight. It's been a long journey, I think, for me to kind of check out this lineup with you guys, with Massacre, with Druid Lord, which I'm looking forward to. And of course,
man, I want an honest opinion. I really
False
appreciate your
Prophet.
time, and even the thought is very flattering, man. Because I'm just, it's cool. I'm just another guy.
Yeah. Well, people that stick around this industry for a long time, I think it's rare. I mean, people kind of come and go all the time, and you've been a presence, whether or not you've been active or inactive or taken a hiatus or, you know, whatever, but you're kind of always there. And I think people look to the old school.
It's odd when things come together for like when you're not pre-planning stuff. So you have to go with it if it doesn't suck.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
it doesn't, because I don't want to waste anybody's time.
Sure. Well, I have faith that it's not going to suck.
Well, you'll let me know tonight. It might suck.
I'll let you know tonight, and I'm looking forward to, you know, hopefully I'll get a taste of that recorded material if it comes out.
100%.
And yeah, I'm looking forward to
I'll
hearing
send
that.
you a copy of the whole set.
Sounds good, brother. Rick, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Yeah, Misery Point Radio, heading out. There you have it, folks. An epic conversation with one of metal's most enduring figures. And make sure you stick around for the next episode, because guess who's coming on? Mr. Michael Borders. That's right. Don't forget, subscribe to Misery Point Radio on all the platforms. Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Google Podcast. Follow the show on Facebook and Instagram. Here we go.
Emerging from the soul, comes the scourge of annihilation. Crossing the field of reality, to bring forth constellation. Well beyond description, not to love fear, up to the figure, take the compare, to the ultimate, and a point of creation, that's the coming barrier, for me all. Into the horns of chaos, I don't know the punctuation, the conscience has no story, of all human obliteration. All beyond description, not to love fear, open and finger, take the contact, to the ultimate, and a point of creation, that's the coming barrier, for me all. Someone tell the fear, look for something.